Welcome to Motivational Monday. I am so honored to have Dr. David Gruder here today, who is a psychological business strategist. His mission is making integrity profitable, leadership effective, and collaboration productive, as well as having happiness, sustainable, and healthy cultures throughout your company. David speaks, trains, and consults to leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, and social change catalysts, helping professionals and self-developers. The recipient of Leadership and Cultural Creation Awards, he was named America's Integrity Expert by Radio, TV, Interview Reports a decade ago, and his books have won awards in politics, society, social change, conscious business, leadership, health and wellness, mental health, psychology, and self-help. David is a recovering musician. You look like one, David, whose parents sent him to Woodstock when he was 15 years old. David lives in San Diego with his acupuncturist wife, Lori, and has two irresistibly adorable cats. So welcome, David.
Well, thank you, Juliet. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Great. Thanks so much. I actually sat at David's table at the last CEO space, and we had the best conversation with people at the table about sequencing in your business. And this really resonated with me because with book people and authors and coaches and speakers, I see this a lot where they forget the foundational tools or they don't set them up well. And then they jump into, now I'm ready to monetize without building an audience. So I was very intrigued by this conversation and asked David to come on today and share his sequencing and how he sees it working.
Well, it's a pleasure. I'm glad you were at the table when that discussion happened. That was fun.
It was really fun.
So do you want me to just launch in, or do you want to ask anything in particular?
Just jump in. Tell us about it.
Sure. Well, first of all, what sequencing is in the context of business of any kind is doing the right things in the right order in order to get the maximum results from the things that you're doing. And that also includes bringing on the right resources in the right order. That resources meaning not just things like software and other kind of non-person resources, but also bringing on the right advisors and executives and implementers and visibility sources in the right sequence, in the right order. So sequencing is all about efficiency. And unfortunately for most of us, and myself very much included back in the day, we're not generally trained to think in terms of sequencing. So with entrepreneurs, what you and I, Juliet, often see is an entrepreneur who's really on fire, thank goodness, fortunately, very on fire about what they want to bring, what they want to offer, whether that's a book or a product or a service or whatever it might happen to be. They're really excited about it. And the phase that they're in, oftentimes, is that phase before they have even determined whether what they're excited about is going to be viable in the marketplace. And they're all hot to trot on building it out before they know whether it's going to be worth the time, energy, and money that it's going to take to build it out.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So that's kind of the broader context around sequencing. And should I go into the sequencing kind of framework next? Is that what you want?
Absolutely. Yes. Go for it.
Sure. Well, the first phase in sequencing is that phase where we get an idea, a glimmer, we have a light bulb moment, we have an inspiration, and we really think, oh my gosh, this, whatever this is, would be a very cool thing to bring to the market, and I bet that people are aching for it, and it's going to make me a lot of money if it's a, if it's a for-profit, or it's going to have a huge amount of impact if it's a nonprofit. And then they just simply start building. Well, what has to happen first, sequencing-wise, is first of all to be clear about whether what you have in mind lives at the intersection of your impact mission, the ways in which you want to have positive influence in the world, and can maximally, of all your different options, help you make the best progress possible toward attaining your own personal ultimate life goals, which are about the ideal calendar you would want to live, how you would want to allocate your time, and your ideal lifestyle and your ideal legacy. And are you clear enough about your life balance commitments between now and when you have attained your ultimate life goals, so that you're not going to be sacrificing your own well-being or your cherished relationships in order to succeed? So that's a really important frame of reference to have before even delving into deciding whether the idea you've got can make money. Once you've got that frame of reference for decision making from a sequencing point of view, what comes next is what I call viability vetting. And viability vetting is about making sure that you can successfully put in front of the people who would want what you've got in a form that is so compelling for them that it's irresistible, that they want to say yes. And there really are 7 dimensions in viability vetting that are crucial to flesh out. Should I go through those next?
Yes, this is the best part.
Okay. So I call these the 7 proofs of viability. And the good news in this is that they also happen to be the 7 proofs that funding sources are looking at in evaluating whether they want to provide funding for your idea, whether those funding sources are loan sources or investors or whatever they might happen to be, even grants. They're looking for these 7 proofs, regardless of whether they even know how to put these proofs into words. So the first of those 7 proofs is proof of concept. What proof of concept is proof that what you're going to bring to market or have in mind to bring to market actually will do what you say it's going to do. So the concept works. And if you don't know whether the concept works, then what you're doing in that early stage in development is you're devoting time, attention, and oftentimes money to doing that proof, to establishing that proof in one form or another. And there are a lot of ways of establishing early proof, but proof of concept is the first proof. Second proof is proof of market. What that proof is about is getting clear that what you want to bring to the market, people actually want already. Now, I really had to learn that one the hard way, because as a trailblazer, that's part of my architecture. It took me, unfortunately, a long time, a lot of years, to finally face that the things that I was coming up with were 10 to 20 years ahead of the market. And those kinds of ideas really make very cool passion projects, or sometimes really good nonprofits, but not really good for-profit ventures. So proof of market is really being able to establish that what you want to bring to the marketplace, people are already thirsty for, even if you have to explain it first, that what them to decide for themselves that this is what they didn't know they wanted. So that's proof of market. The third proof is proof of pipelines or channels. And what proof of pipelines or channels means is that you've been able to identify ways to reach the people who are thirsty or will discover they're thirsty for what you've got, when they might be in the mood to engage, when they might be in the mood to learn more about what you've got, so that you can bring them into a sales funnel. So that's proof of pipelines. And I've seen people come up with wonderful ideas that there really would be a market for, but they have not been able to figure out how to reach the people that, in large enough numbers, that would be looking for that. So it's going to be a real uphill battle.
Mhm.
So that's the third proof. The fourth proof is proof of compellingness or distinctiveness. And what this is about is that what you're bringing to the market, or what you have in mind and hope to bring to the market, is something that is different enough from what already is out there that people will instantly see how they want your version over others that are out there. And that doesn't necessarily mean everybody, because you can make a lot of money through offering something that's offered a lot, but it's custom tailored to a specific market segment, and it's never been custom tailored to them. Or you could offer something that's available in the market that's actually more expensive than what the usual prices are, because you're bringing added value to that thing that people already are thirsty for and they're not finding anywhere else, and they want it so badly they'll pay more for it. Or you might have come up with a better mousetrap. You might have come up with a way to deliver what's already being delivered in the market for enough less money that people are going to go, whoa, no competition, I'm going with you. So those are just examples of compellingness, but we have to establish proof of compellingness. That's the fourth proof. The fifth proof is proof of plan, meaning that you have built out enough of a sequence, enough of a plan for how you're going to do the right things in the right sequence, so that you're not going to get off track. You're not going to go down rabbit holes because you're focusing on things before the business is ready to benefit from you focusing on those things. So that's proof of plan. And oftentimes that's in its fully fleshed out version, that looks like a strategic plan. Before a strategic plan, there might be a master plan, which is a plan for the entire arc of the business. So it might be a 50 to 100-year plan, out of which ideally a strategic plan for the next 1 or 3 or 5 years would grow. So that's proof of plan. The sixth proof is proof of experts. What that means is that if you have truly an entrepreneurial venture in mind, then the range of expertise it is going to require is by definition greater than the expertise that any one person can have by themselves, including you. And so in order to succeed, you have to first of all be really clear about the gaps between the expertise you bring to the venture versus all of the expertise the venture is going to require. And then from there, you're going to be doing sequencing about what types of expertise you're bringing on first, second, third, fourth, so that you're not piddling your money away with wonderfully selected experts or implementers or executives before you're ready to utilize them. And so that's proof of experts. And then the seventh proof I call proof of you. And what proof of you is that you have taken a really good, deep look at what the business is going to require you to become for it to succeed, and you're in with both feet. You're clear about what it's going to require you to become, and you are completely passionate about filling those gaps so that you do become who the business needs you to be for it to succeed. And that's particularly important when we're searching for funding sources, because in the end, they're funding us. Yes, of course, they're funding what we're bringing to the market. But if they don't believe in us, if we're not showing up like a leader who can be trusted to stay on track and do the right things in the right sequence, et cetera, they're not going to invest in us no matter how good the concept is that we've got. So those are the 7 proofs that we need to establish for ourselves as viability vetting in order to be sure that what we have in mind is really going to have the best possible chance of profitizing, of succeeding, before we start building it out.
That's awesome. Really awesome. So if people want to find out more about how they can work with you and what they do you have something you'd like to give away free, or how can they contact you, or both?
Sure. So let's do a both.
Okay.
So one option is that if you're needing to engage a sequencing expert, a sequencing mentor, no matter where you are in your business's development, if you don't even have a clear sense of what you want to build next, or if you've already been building it and you've kind of gotten in gridlock or in quicksand in the building process, then go ahead and set an engagement exploration appointment with me through my online scheduler that you can access by clicking the contact button that's at the bottom of every page. It's a blue button on my main website, which is drgruder.com. That's drgruder.com. Now, the thing that I'd be delighted to gift to your listeners, if they're interested in this and they don't necessarily need to have a conversation about it, engaging a mentor to help them with sequencing decisions, I'd be happy to provide them with the cheat sheet for viability vetting, the 7 proofs cheat sheet.
Cool.
And what we can do is provide them with a link that they'll be able to download that cheat sheet through.
Great. So we'll put the link down below this interview when we run it. So just look down below and you'll find that link so you can go get that free gift. Thank you so much. I loved the conversation at the table, and I think you did it even better this time.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And what I didn't touch on at the table is what happens after viability vetting, because then there's build out and launch, and then solidifying the procedures and the fine tuning things so that everything's moving effectively, so that you can do expansion, which is another phase. And then the final phase in sequencing, of course, is the exit phase. And exit isn't necessarily where we sell. It might be, or succession plan, but it might also be something as simple as we stop being the chief cook and bottle washer and become the chief visionary officer, if we're going to stay with the project for the rest of our career. So everyone has an exit intent, and that has to be clarified, specified, so that the right exit plan can be built toward from the beginning.
Oh, that was very cool. I remember somebody else was speaking at one of the events there was talking about an exit plan. And I thought, I don't have an exit plan. Like, something's wrong here. So that's really awesome. Thank you so much for doing this for us today.
My pleasure, Julia. Thanks so much for having me on your show.